Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's Michelle with my special guest, Christy. Hi,
Hello.
Christy.
Hi.
So, thank you guys so much for watching our last video about the top 5 bags we wouldn't buy. Now, as client advisors or former client advisors,
Right.
Christy reached out to me years ago and she's been my advisory about what's going on at Vuitton. And she is now an ex-client advisor.
True.
And one of the things we like to do is share stories because nobody knows what it is like to work at Louis Vuitton.
Unless you've worked at Louis Vuitton, then yeah,
We do not know. Just like I don't know what it's like to work at the hospital because I never have, for
Right.
example. So, we have a special show for you today because often when we get together and talk, we talk about the things people think go on at Vuitton or the myths that people think first time buyers, the assumptions that they make when they walk into the store. So,
Yeah.
today we're going to share with you the top 5 myths or assumptions that
Mm.
people have about this handbag brand. Because at the end of the day, it's a store that sells handbags.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Christy, how does it feel to be an ex-employee at Vuitton?
I mean, like I said the first time we did a video together, I do miss a lot of the people I used to work with, but when you're in it, it's like it's a lot going on. It's a lot of expectations and some of them are not realistic, and it's a lot of things they want and need from you that you can't give them, and if you don't, it seems like they're very upset with that. But I don't
Mhm.
feel like one person can give them everything that they need. And also, there were I had great clients, I loved them, but then there were some clients that were like very demanding, and I felt like because they were inside Louis Vuitton that I had to go make a red carpet in the back, roll it out for them, give them champagne and clap and just like set off fireworks every time they walked in, which is unrealistic. So it does feel good. It feels good because I mean, I do love fashion and I love handbags, and it's somewhere I always aspire to work, and I can just check it off my bucket list. Been there, done that, but I am just moving on in a different direction in my life, you know?
Very good. Same, same. I had a short stint there and then I went back to what I was doing before. I did have high expectations of it.
Mhm.
And I think after that whole experience, you realize it's retail, like it's
It
in the
is.
same mall as Coach, but the expectations they put on you compared to the reward was not there.
Yeah, and what I found that was frustrating, so I have friends that work at Gucci and Fendi is actually an LVMH brand, Chanel as well. So I know people in different brands. And during Christmas, like the last two holidays I had there, I got a beach towel and then I got a toiletry 26, which isn't bad. But Gucci, they got like mini jackies, and at Fendi, they got like baguettes and peekaboos. And I'm like, Louis Vuitton would never for their employees. And literally, LVMH is like one of the biggest, like the guy who owns it, Bernard. He like
Hmm.
has more money. He's like I think the fifth richest person in the world, and he can't like just give us like something small. Like everyone like maybe a little speedy or something. I don't know, but we never got that kind of love at Louis.
Not one thing. And you're right. So my friend worked for Dior, same umbrella under LVMH, and she had all types of clothes, perfume, and we didn't. I was shocked that even for what was that 1 week orientation we did? What was that called? Like we had to
Oh, are you talking
leave.
about where you got to? Oh my gosh, why can't I think of it?
It's like right when they hire you.
Yeah, we got to go. You got to go for a week and do training with other stores.
Yeah,
I had to do mine in Fort Worth, and everyone was different, and you had to like stand up. Oh my gosh,
it's
it's late.
okay.
I'll probably
Well,
think
I
of it
thought
when I'm asleep.
it's okay. I thought at least the minimum, could you give us a perfume? Box of gummy
Fragrances.
bears.
Well, yeah, the only time I
Look,
won fragrance in all my Louis, I'm actually wearing a Trop Rev right now. The only time we won fragrances was if we ran like some kind of contest, like a sales
Yeah. If
contest
you
or
sold
like
the
a
most,
something, and it would not even be a brand new one. It would be like the testers in the
tester.
back or the ones that they messed up and like engraved someone's name incorrectly.
Yeah.
Or trying to test out because our engraving machine would break constantly.
We probably have more than 10 myths, but we're going to start with just five. So, number one on the list that people assume about Louis Vuitton handbags is that they come with a lifetime warranty.
I got this so much, and you may have as well. And not only did people think it, but they actually would tell me that somebody had told them when they purchased the bag that the bag came with a lifetime warranty. Typically, these were clients who only had one, maybe two pieces in their purchase history, and they just assumed that it had a lifetime warranty, that nothing was ever supposed to happen or go awry with their piece, which I questioned. I'd be like, oh, and I of course be nice and follow up with questions. I would never get upset or anything because, I would be empathetic to where the client was coming from, but no one that I ever worked with, nor any Louis Vuitton store, nor when I was a client before I worked there, ever got that misinformation. So not
Yeah.
sure.
Nor does it say anywhere, like no advertisement, like the suitcase companies that say this suitcase will last you blah blah blah. But like there's no advertisement,
Mhm.
nothing on the receipt ever that say lifetime warranty. And by the way, there's nothing that lasts forever.
No.
Hardly anything I can think of that even has a lifetime warranty. So, but I know where it comes from. It's this perception that
Mhm.
I don't know, it even seems far-fetched though, that because it's heritage, we sell the story of like heritage and tradition. Buy this $3,000 bag because you can pass it to your daughter. I think that gives people the assumption that, oh, well then there must be a warranty. Or they ask on checkout, and this was usually like wallets. I got this a lot for wallets. What's the warranty? Well, there's no warranty. Like there's just
Right.
none.
There's not, but and they keep changing this. So on that note, the repair center, so the place where we send the repairs to, we had one in Texas because they opened up one in Irving, but we used to send them to Ontario, California, and all the repairs would go there. Now they just have too many to just for California just take in all the repairs. So, but depending on the piece and the time you've had it. So when I left, some pieces were 5 years, some pieces were 2 years. So it changes. So don't quote me on this.
Yeah,
Depending on the repair center, they're the ones who change and alternate and alter the policies on the repairs. Some things that's like, okay, constant, what would happen was high rise bum bag. That little tag that was on it would always fall off. Not sure why, but a new tag is $100. Well, it was
that's
when I,
crazy.
right.
That's
The
bad
last,
craftsmanship.
exactly. The last I saw when I left, like 3 or 4 months ago, a new tag. Now, if you'd had that bag and I saw it in your purchase history, so you had to have it in your purchase history, you couldn't have bought it secondhand or whatever. And it also depends on the manager too. So there's a lot of variables. Store and the manager and the repairs team, you might be able to get it complimentary. There's a lot of, but if you have a 20-year-old bag and you're thinking that you're going to get a free repair, like getting all new leather parts and everything looking shiny and new, because they literally tear apart that bag and put the same love into repairing it as they did making it, and they're not going to comp that. Doesn't matter how many purchases you have in your purchase history, doesn't matter how much you cry, because you don't pay till the bag comes back in. They're not going to comp that repair. So I am so sorry.
Right. Which leads to myth number two, that people believe it's superior quality. So everything you just said about like people bringing in 20-year-old bags and expecting free repairs, she is absolutely right. And it happened minimum 3 times a week.
No, more often, no.
Yeah. And then you would see too, like, we know. This person claims they used the bag once, but it looks like it's been driven over by a truck 7 times
Oh yeah.
and dragged around the airport for the past 5 years. So
Mhm.
that always blew my mind that this was a bag and it's expensive. So I treat my expensive things very well, like a little pillowcase down.
Mhm.
People treated their Louis Vuitton bags like they bought it from Macy's and just like, oh, it's going to be the best quality. I'm just going to like slam it around. Same with the wallets, the sunglasses, everything.
And yeah, but this another thing I would tell clients, they'll and a lot of clients and people don't believe this. They're like, "Oh my god, no, there's no way they're Louis Vuitton clients." More clients, more often than not, only had one Louis Vuitton bag, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with only having one piece. It would be like their husband saved up for it. That was what they aspire or a special occasion, whatever. But if you're carrying the same bag every day for 5, 6 years, and that is your daily bag, that is your business bag, that is your travel bag, that is your going out at night bag, that bag is your workhorse. You use it for every single thing. You're carrying it every day. And it is going to have wear, and that is
It's going
normal.
to give up.
But if you're not alternating out your piece, like you're not wearing the same shoes every day, you're not wearing the same dress every day, you are not a cartoon character, you're not doing the same anytime you wear things more often, they are going to wear. And some things are repairable, some things aren't repairable. Like, you know, canvas.
This
If it cracks,
cracking is not
you
repairable.
are SOL. So if you like, I do have canvas pieces and I like them, but I don't wear them every day. I don't wear my Vavin every day. I don't wear my Speedy every day because I alternate my pieces, knowing that that can happen. Because once that happens, you're done.
And it's just like driving a car. And
Uh-huh.
I like what you said last time about if a rock hits your car, if it's a Kia or a Mercedes, it
It's
chips
gonna
the
do the
same.
same thing. You throw a rock at the window of a Mercedes or a Kia, they're both gonna shatter. And also, nobody who works at Louis is going to be like, oh, well, this client takes, every client's going to come in and tell you that they take great care of their piece and they hardly ever wear it. And you look at it and you're like, no. And everyone's going to like
No.
have their own story. And it's fine. Like, like, oh, I barely even wear this bag. I've just got it. It's like people at Louis Vuitton have access to view your purchase history, see, and if they see you only have one Louis, and they'll be, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with having one Louis. I'm not judging you. But if you're wearing one bag every day, all day, it is going to wear and they're not going to fix it complimentary. It does not have a lifetime warranty. They have never had a warranty on their bag. They have repairs for the lifetime of the bag as long as it's repairable. And I think that's what clients hear and they hang on to lifetime warranty.
But and I also think like I do see this. Louis has done this to themselves. This is a vintage Saint Cloud. This canvas is so
Love it.
thick. It's so thick. And like the details, the painting on the edge is so different than what it is now.
The
So
glazing on it is
yeah,
better.
glazing. I couldn't think of the word. The structure, like everything is so different than what you would buy today. So when it was back then, these are I think like 86 and 94.
Right.
Since
And
then,
you can tell because you looked at the tag.
yeah. Since then, the production has cheapened, and I'm going to show you a newer bag. This is my friend's bag. I can feel it. The canvas is not nearly as thick. The texture
It's
on it is
thinner
so different. It's thinner, it's lighter.
and they aren't making it they are really, I feel like now the artisans, which I don't know if you guys know this or not, the artisans that are making the bags of Louis Vuitton have never worked at an atelier or have any prior sewing experience. They don't want anybody to have, they want to train them in the way of Vuitton. So none of the people making your pieces have prior experience in ateliers or sewing. They don't want that to sway their mind and have their prior experience. They want to train them on how to make their bags their way. So I feel like back in the day, they didn't have the product demand because there
Mm-mm.
was no social media.
Mhm.
They think they took their time and the canvas was thicker and there was more thought behind it.
Yep. Yep, everything.
They are just pumping
Pumping
pieces
out
out,
bags.
and you can tell because the quality is matching,
Right there.
the stitching, everything is just very.
It's mass manufactured. Like, show me my vintage bag, and then I understand the allure. But if you look at a newer bag, it's not much different than what you would buy at Coach. So also that was Christy already mentioned our myth number 4, that the store will tell you. Now that as we're talking, I'm seeing that Louis Vuitton kind of makes their own myth. It's
I think they do.
superior
They feed
because
it
this
to us.
vintage bag is superior, but what you would get now is not necessarily. And then they want us to tell the customers that each bag takes 48 hours to make. But Christy and I have seen these, we've seen the factories.
Mhm.
There's like a little booth where, let's say, the Pochette Matisse is made here. The parts are made other places. The glazing is done over here. The cutting is here. And then they bring it over here and it's stitched together. And there's probably 2 ladies in that bay and they're making maybe 48 push-up Matisses for that day.
Yes, and I've seen it where I was. They actually did. Now their push-up Matisse is actually made in Texas.
Mhm.
There's some SKUs, not every bag. Another thing people think is because there is an atelier in Texas that every bag is coming from Texas, which doesn't happen. It's like 9 SKUs. The Lou Pobo, the Live, the Bichette Matisse, but the
Most popular ones,
yeah, the
which also the factory in California has been there since I think the 70s, either late 60s or 70s.
if there is
So
a
it's like nothing
factory
new.
in your backyard, if there's a factory in your backyard, assume because everyone in Texas assumes they're like, oh, I heard there is a factory here in Texas, and so all our bags are being made in Texas. Like, no, the Neverfulls are made in Texas. If you buy a Neverfull in the United States, your Neverfull is coming from Texas. If you buy a Neverfull in France, they're not shipping it from Texas. You're probably getting one from France.
Which also like, okay, you're reminding me of these videos I used to see about people comparing the multi-pochette made in USA to the one made in France and pointing out the slightest little
It's the
stitch
same.
difference or this and that. And it was
It's
like,
no difference. There is a French community in Texas of people who work here and they are making your bags. There's no
yeah.
difference. Like if you have a talent and I have a talent and you put me in another part of the world, I'm going to have the same talent. I mean, that's with everyone. There's no difference. The training is the training, but there's no difference. The
And
quality
there's,
is just not there like it used to be. And people are seeing that and blaming it on where it's made and whatever.
I know it was all in their head. Because like also, let's say you got 2 bags from France, they're never going to be exactly the same. Like
Nothing is.
it's impossible to do
It
so.
is
You
impossible,
you can't cut it exactly the same. You can't sew it exactly the same.
and they're sewed on machines. These are not handmade. Again, this is not Chanel or Hermes, which I think are made better.
Okay, Chanel is like all machine stitched very poorly now.
It is,
But anyway,
well,
I
dang.
digress.
My Chanel from 2009 or 10, whenever I got it, she is probably made better than what they made now, except for the hard
Yes. Oh,
is
yes.
fading. But I will say this, the Louis Vuitton bags, unless the only thing that's made by hand that is going to have that aha thing are the trunks. If you
Yes.
get a trunk, they are made in France, all of them. And the original place where Louis Vuitton like grew up, there's a whole thing with the trunks are going to be the only thing that are going to be handmade and they're put a lot of work into. That's it.
And the if you do like a special order crocodile capucines, for example,
Capucines are like a city steamer or something like that.
anything that's crocodile, so exotic, which would
Mhm.
be like
Yeah.
$25,000 minimum custom made, skin the alligator.
If you do like a now yours and customize it, and it's going to take like a year and some change to get it because they're going to have to find that animal, make sure that it has perfect skin condition and, see where it's from, part of the world. make sure it's dyed correctly because different animals take dye correct differently. It's a whole thing, and like people don't realize the extent of the training we go through at Vuitton to like give you guys this knowledge. But yeah, unless you get an MTO, now yours, which they changed out a lot, you're not going to get a handmade bag in France.
No, you're getting a factory bag.
Most bags are made in factories, and clients don't know that unless there's one in your backyard. But they have had factories in the United States since like the 60s or 70s. Not everyone knows about it. Everyone,
I think not everyone wants to believe that either, because it's like it seems exotic and exclusive. It's like, oh, my bag is from France,
not unless you go to France.
right?
That's the only time you're back, and even then, the materials are going to be the same.
The same. And we would joke in store every time people would want a Neverfull and they would look at the tag and say, I want one made in France. We would joke, I hope they go to France and get one made in the USA.
That could happen too. It could
Right?
have,
That would be like the ultimate troll.
and they probably wouldn't even think to look because they.
So, right? So, Christy brought up, she saw this behind my head on the shelf. This is like, what is this? Circa 2020, 2002 Demi Coach bag.
I worked at Coach and it was called the Demi, and I want to
Yeah,
say the
it's
stock
still called the
number is
Demi.
either 6091 or 6094. Look on the inside of your bag. There's still
Well,
little things, and it
these
tells you.
like the leather of this has held up better. I have an old Gucci bag that's 94 where the leather is peeling. So like
It's
this is
got the
Coach.
shut.
This is Coach and um it might not be like as expensive as Louis, but comparable. Like today, if you go for that Louis bag, you're not going to get even the quality of like what an old Coach bag was.
Yeah. That bag was $128 when I worked there in 2003, and it's held up.
Yeah, and I understand all manufacturing has changed since that era. And it's just that manufacturing has also changed with luxury brands. So the amount you're spending does not equate to the quality that you're getting in your handbag. It
But
just, I know like people want us to say differently and they actually get mad at us because we say differently.
it's
But yeah, we work there every day. Like we know.
well, also people have changed. Like, social media has made it to where everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses and chase a dream, and people who are influencers, they want to show off like their collections, like, oh hey, I have this, hey, I have that, blah 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 blah. But the truth is because so many people are aspiring and chasing the dragon, so to speak, to get whatever it is they want, they have to make more pieces, therefore the quality is not like it used to be.
It's just actually just a money grab.
Now they're just popping them out, and like it's kind of embarrassing. I used to open the drawers and I would see bags, and they would be like defective, and I'm like, "Mm."
Hmm.
And showing it to a client, I'm like, okay, give me 1 second, and I'd like show them another bag and take it the bag. I'm like, this has a defect. And clients also think that if a bag has a defect, that you could sell it to them at a discount. And no, Louis Vuitton is not going to sell you a defective bag. They are going to damage it out, and they are not going to let you have it at a discount. Never, ever, ever, ever.
Now, I can't tell you how many times. So this painting edge, it's called glazing.
Mm.
Bag doesn't isn't produced anymore. It's the same cloud, but you have this type of construction on the push-up Matisse and the twist. And I'm sure you remember too how many times you saw like a little jaggy or bumpy where it was like, whoosh, and they didn't smooth it out before it dried. And how many times I would have to tell the customer, I don't see anything. That's perfectly normal because no one's going to reglaze it.
Right. And the glazing is just, and I don't know if you got to do this when you toured your factory, but they gave us a little Texas shape, like a little piece of vachetta, and they actually gave us a little mini tub with the glazing, and we got to glaze our own
Oh, did
Texas
you?
state.
But
So
did
I
you
saw how they glazed it. It's like literally like a tiny little paintbrush, and you just glaze it, and it is like easy to have that thing fall this way or fall that way. Like you have to have a steady hand to get that glaze.
No, wait. I saw the machine at the factory in California, how they glaze it. It's a machine and they just,
Well, Sure. They let us glaze something by hand, and I don't think anybody would glaze anything. But yeah, if it's going from a machine, there is a higher chance that this glaze could get moved to the side because I know that they do have people who come and inspect the bags before they send them out. But the factory I went to was so big that I guarantee you they're just spot checking it and just sending
Yeah.
it in batches.
Yeah. I do believe that like the special bags, the special made to order and the bags back then were
Mhm.
hand glazed,
Yeah,
but
we
I
got
did
to
see
hand
the
glaze
machine.
something. I'm sure that they are all done by me. I didn't get to see the glazing situation. We just went from station to station and saw like, oh, these are the carryalls, these are the Pichette Matisses, these are the loop hobos. The Gracefuls were made there too. They
Yes.
discontinued Graceful. The Neverfull, I'm trying to think of what else was made. Palm Springs Mini,
Mm,
that was made there.
yes. Another bag that had many quality issues.
That is true. She's still growing strong. They still make her. And I'm like, what? Just get a Monterey.
So,
But
Christy and I like to talk. We have so many stories. I'm going to get us back on track, but I think also we just kind of rolled into our fifth myth, which is that having a Louis Vuitton is associated with wealth, which Christy also just alluded to. It's because of social media, people are chasing this illusion and thinking you have to have something like let me put this out there that I am like not against people buying Vuitton. It's
no.
like buying a car. If you want this car, save for it, aspire to it. But there's so much, what is this? Status, ego,
Uh-huh.
looking down on people, doing or buying bags for the wrong reasons, people buying bags they can't afford. And I think maybe one of the things that kind of hits me now is like these people are so young, just even in high school, thinking that they need to have Vuitton where these luxury brands, it's kind of like when I was like even in the 2000s era, right? When Angelina was the rep for Louis Vuitton, but like our budget was Coach and my budget is still Coach. It wasn't like, oh, I need to have one now. I can aspire to have one later. And there were plenty of women in their 50s or 60s who were buying their first Vuitton.
Always, always. And on that note, I just remembered another thing that clients used to do, but people wouldn't tell them that everybody needs to know. I don't think everyone out there knows. If you are traveling abroad, because you're going to be in Europe anyway, Asia, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go and get my Louis Vuitton cheaper. That's fine. That's fine. I personally think it's silly to buy something you could buy in the United States that because no one's going to know, oh, that's the Italy edition of the Neverfull. No one's going to know. Make sure you do your research and you're not going to get like excited on the champagne flow they give you when you go to France or something and all the excitement. Because if you buy something abroad, you cannot return it. You can only exchange it and get what it's worth here, and you have to pay taxes on it. So, say you went to France and you got Michelle's Neverfull and Dame Azur, but you really wanted the Dame Ben, but they were out of it, and they talked you into getting that one, and then you're just like, man, and then you came over here to return it. You can't get your money back because the currency exchange. You have to exchange it, and that Neverfull, even if you got a different color, you're gonna have to pay the taxes on it. So it wasn't even worth your getting the discount over on it in Europe. So there's that.
And the plane ticket too.
Yeah.
So
Unless you're
I
just gonna be there anyway. But yeah.
And that was another funny thing people would tell me, like, I'm waiting to get my bag when I go to New York or LA or something. And it's like, wow, when did souvenirs become so expensive? Like you
Right.
don't have to fly there, especially if it's in the US. Like you can just go get it at your local boutique. But
But
that,
if
feeds the social media monster of like, I want to show that I spent money. I want to spend money when I travel.
and that's fine if you're gonna like some people would just like, oh, I'm gonna go on a trip and they happen to be in Europe, but just make sure if you're going abroad and buying a piece, make sure it's what you want and that's exactly what you decided to get that the person over there because the people in another country are not going to tell you that you can't return that because they're just like, oh, I'm not see this person again and they're probably right. You
You
probably
know,
aren't gonna see them again, and they're going to sell you like, "Oh, yeah, you can return it, no big deal."
also, I've had a lot of people from other countries write on my videos that why do Americans return? Like, we don't do that. There's no return policy in many other countries.
That's another thing too, is, like, some countries, Louis Vuitton, like, if you bought it in certain countries, they won't return it.
And with that said, like, don't buy Louis Vuitton if you're not sure. Because where I worked, and I'm sure where you are too, like, purchasing was for sport. They like the idea of pulling out that credit card and walking out with an orange shopping bag, and people like to flex for sport. And then they'd come back the next week of like, oh, I didn't like this part. Do you see this? Do you see that? I didn't like it. I'm going to return it. And it's like, you don't have to do a show. Just hand the bag back, right?
And
Like,
worked at a, so, Michelle, you worked at one inside a boutique, and I
yes.
worked at a freestanding one. Another thing
Inside of
is,
a department store.
right, so if you work at an inside the department store, so, for example, if somebody came and tried to return a Louis Vuitton that they bought inside a Neiman Marcus, but in a Louis Vuitton,
Can't do it.
it was only an exchange because the lease spaces use different registers. And so you have to return back to like a Bloomingdale's or Saks, wherever you got it, to get your money back.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. So that too. And we saw more returns. I think, I mean, I don't want to say more returns than purchases, but on some days, yes. There are so many returns that also people did not believe me. It's like if you're spending half of your day doing returns, that's energy being drained and time spent that you could be actually making sales. Oh, another myth I'll throw in. We had a tiny, tiny commission and a huge sales goal.
Yeah,
The
that's the big thing.
productivity of having to do returns, it was like maybe 3 purchases, 1 return, right? Like on an average day. That's how I remember it.
And on a canvas, never full on canvas, it was like 0.01%. So anytime somebody sold like a Neverfull, you were just putting $1 in their pocket.
We got $1.
Like $1, like
$1.
$1. And they're like, "Oh, I bet you made your sales goal today." They're thinking
Yeah.
they're spending like $2,000
You
on the
missed
bag.
on my commission. Yeah. Okay.
So this is going towards my overall goal is what I saw it like.
Yeah. Overall goal.
The never full isn't putting money in my pocket, but it is going towards my sales goal. So that's how I saw it. If it was canvas, if it was like a leather one, then yeah, okay, yeah, I got a little more commission. Not much, but a little.
Yeah. So that's that. Okay. So we kind of went off on a tangent, but I always enjoy these conversations. If you're still here watching this video, thank you so much. And I think we probably have a part two because there are other assumptions, or I think like expectations, customer expectations that also like aren't true coming from the perspective of client advisors. And people think like, oh, because I think it should be this way, why aren't you conforming to my needs? Like, I don't know. If you do that at Target, they're not going to help you either. So,
They definitely not. And Louis Vuitton is no different. Just because the price tag is more doesn't mean as much. So it's still, mind you, they're still a retailer. They still have goals to make, they still have bills to make, they still have to make money too. So they're not just going to do certain things that people think just to appease
no,
clients.
not at all. So we'll discuss that in another video. If you're to this point, thank you guys for joining. Leave a comment if you've learned something or have experienced any of this. And we will be back soon. So don't forget to subscribe for more content from me and Christy. Talk to
Yes.
you soon. Bye.
Bye.